Well, as Sierra Leone counts down to its presidential elections, candidates are hitting at each other in a face-off in a televised debate. There are top 6 candidates, including the foreign minister and the former head of a military junta, vying to win the March 7 election. Incumbent President Ernest Bai Koroma, who has ruled the West African nation since 2007, is expected to step down.
Sierra Leone's presidential candidates went head-to-head in a televised debate, presenting their plans for the West African nation ahead of the elections on March 7th. Although there are 16 parties competing in the upcoming polls, only 6 candidates were invited to debate. Organizers say only parties that fielded nominees for at least 25% of the mayoral, council and parliamentary seats could take part. The candidates spoke about the state of the economy, gender violence, which is widespread in the country, sports, corruption, dual citizenship, the poor state of the healthcare system, education, housing, water, and governance. Term-limited President Ernest Koroma is due to step down after the polls, with many Sierra Leoneans dissatisfied with progress under his leadership. He is backing his former foreign minister, Samura Kamara, as successor, but the race to replace Koroma is considered wide open. Kamara has admitted the ruling All People's Congress should have done more. Along with Kamara, expected frontliners include former UN Under-Secretary General Kande Yumkela and Julius Madebu, who ruled Sierra Leone at the head of a military junta in 1996. Voters followed the debate on TV, radio, and a social media team relayed the various points made by the candidates on various platforms during the 3 hours of discussion.
The first time Sierra Leone is before an election, Sierra Leone is actually hosting a debate amongst the candidates vying for the leadership. And what you have here is what we are calling a social media room that is looking at what is happening on TV, watching the presidential debate and retweeting it across a nation of young people that are constantly on WhatsApp and social media in Sierra Leone.
Audience members came from various walks of life in Sierra Leone. Hundreds packed into the venue, a conference center in capital Freetown, where the 3-hour event broadcast by all 3 national television channels and a national network of over 40 radio stations carried on until nearly 1 a.m. Friday.
The discussion around this particular election has broadened in such a way as to include, to become more inclusive. Things like social media, this particular debate, the reporting in the newspapers has really extended the discussion to a much wider audience. And this in particular has been very useful for that.
To me, honestly, I think it's fair enough. If you're really serious to be a political party, you need to show what is at stake for you to tell the people that we are really serious. So, I've told them during the debate, most of these folks are a bunch of failed actors, and the only person in that room that can really deliver is me, Mohamed Kamaremba Masari.
After it was engulfed by a brutal civil war for much of 1990, the country's dream of an economic boom, fueled by diamonds and iron ore mining, were dashed by a 2008 commodities crash. Sierra Leone was then hit by the deadliest Ebola epidemic in history, which killed some 4,000 people in 2014 and 2015. With average citizens complaining that not enough has been done to revive the country's fortunes in the wake of the dual crisis, voters' expectations for the new president are high.
Our South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia is back with us to continue the conversation on South Africa's corruption scandal. Well, we talked about the scandal earlier, but it's been a few days now since Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in as president. What's the mood like today among South Africans?
Well, today is the beginning of his first full official week as the president of the country, but we know that the response to his State of the Nation address has been going on in Parliament, where the debate over some of the things that he raised are being talked about. We know that hot topics like the cabinet reshuffle expected, the issue of land expropriation with or without compensation is a hot topic as well, and the size of his cabinet and many other things. And many are questioning, many in Parliament and outside as well, those we spoke with, are questioning the issue of implementation. I guess we'll have to wait to find that out. But a fine speech is a fine speech, is how it's being worked out. And some of the policy proposals that he made, we have people raising the fact that the workability is still unclear. How is he going to do this? He hasn't really gone into details. The president is expected to respond to some of the issues raised in Parliament today, but he will do that. His response to that debate will be tomorrow in Cape Town at the Parliament.
Well, while we wait for President Ramaphosa's response, now, is there any news about the former president, Jacob Zuma?
Well, he's a wise man to stay out of the spotlight. He's had a lot of it in the past few months, actually, if not years. So he's gone away quietly. We understand there was a huge reception for him in his home province, that's KwaZulu-Natal. And the local ANC in that province said, well, we are still proud of him and we expect him to contribute, as he said he would, to the development of the party and to the development of democracy in the country. But he's quite quiet, but we know very soon he will be in the spotlight again when the charges against him will be reinstated. We understand that the National Prosecuting Authority is ready to prosecute that particular case regarding the 783. I don't know if it's going to be that much or that many, maybe probably about 17 counts that he will be facing very soon. And we understand about 200 witnesses have been lined up for that case. Even the MPA is under pressure to perform. So we'll get to hear that in a few days, what is going to be done. So we will get to hear from the president probably as well, or his legal team.
Well, thanks,
but
Betty.
he's keeping quiet. Thank you so much.
Channels TV South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia. Now, following a directive from President Omar al-Bashir, Sudan's government has released more than 80 political prisoners. The detainees, which include women, students and journalists, were arrested last month following protests over the high cost of living. Families and friends who camped outside prison celebrated as the detainees walked free. The deputy head of the main opposition party, Fadala Burma, was among those released. An official statement that the government would seek solutions with other parties to resolve the grievances of protesters. Sudan devalued its currency last month and cut wheat subsidies, which doubled the price of bread and triggered protests. And elsewhere in the Gambia, the President Adama Barrow has announced a temporary prohibition on the death penalty. This comes as the country rebuilds its international standing following the removal of its longtime authoritarian ruler, Yahya Jammeh. Jammeh, who fled Gambia after losing his latest re-election bid, drew international criticism in 2012 when his government abruptly executed 9 prisoners by firing squad. Since taking office a year ago, President Barrow has tried to repair the damage done by Jammeh's 23-year rule, which was marked by human rights abuses and spats with foreign governments. Earlier this month, Gambia rejoined the Commonwealth, which the former president withdrew from in 2013. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at the contribution of Nigerian troops and police to the United Nations peace operations.